Hello everyone and welcome to Whisky Wednesday. This is the first in a three-part series featuring High West, a distillery I love and have tried to track down a lot of their sort of rarer bottles for a long time. Only succeeded once, which involved a trip to New York. But now there is a lovely shop in Manchester, local to me, called Tipples, and they tend to have most of the full range all the time. So I've been able to buy the American Praire Bourbon, the Rendezvous Rye, and the Campfire, which we'll be reviewing over the next 3 weeks. If you ever own a bottle of High West, you'll see there's quite a lot of stuff on the back of the label regarding to the imagery they use, the font they use, why they've called it what they've called it. This particular bottle, the American Praire Bourbon, has a pronghorn on the front of it, and at some point during very early maybe not early, like 1800s settling period in America, 98% of pronghorns were extinct, and they were put, fences were put up for land reserves and whatnot. This particular bourbon, some of the profits from this whiskey actually go to helping take down those fences so they can help the pronghorn population develop more. I don't know if it's just in Utah. I imagine it's maybe in like Arizona and a few other places as well. But regarding the distillery, it's quite a fun distillery. They do produce their own whiskey now, but in the early days they didn't. They're based in Old Park? Old Park City in Utah. The world's only ski-in gastro distillery, so you can do your day's worth of skiing and then go and have something to eat and some whiskey, which is quite an amazing thing to think about. But they do have some whiskey now, their own stuff. It's quite young. Most of these videos are going to involve talking about other distilleries, particularly for this one. Most of it is sourced from MGP in Indiana, and an unknown Kentucky distillery. I've heard some people say it's Four Roses, some people say that it's Barton. I could believe it was the Barton distillery. And anywhere between, I think, 3 to 13 years old, the contents of this blended bourbon, as I believe it's called on the front of it. A blend of straight bourbon whiskies. 46%, it is non-chill filtered, it's natural colour too, and it has this beautiful kind of speckled glass bottle. We did review the High West Midwinter Night's Dram. That was one of the last whiskies we ever shot in the whiskey jar. So if you head back quite far back, you will be able to find that video, and that is one of my favourite whiskies ever. But I'll put this bottle down on this little table, and we'll taste it and see what's going on. We will have some cutaways, but for those of you interested in the batch numbers, you can head to High West's website, and they give you all of the nerdy information you require. This is batch 20B11. Well, let's smell it, let's taste it, let's see what High West Bourbon has got going for it. Very vibrant nose, very fruity. It's full of like peaches and blueberries and apricots and honey. It's got this very floral approach to everything. You do get heat off some of the younger stuff in there. There is like an intensity of younger grain whiskey. I don't see that's too much of a problem. I quite like that. It holds the glass remarkably well. It is nice and thick. It's got really good legs to it. But it is one of the fruitiest bourbons I've ever come across. Old Forester tends to have loads of like blackberry notes. Four Roses is always really buttery. I haven't tried much from the Barton distillery, and if I assume that this is where it's from, then I should invest in more Barton, because I've never had a whiskey that smells like honeyed apricots and mango and all these sort of lovely fresh stone fruits. Yeah, really bright and vibrant. Not what I expected. The bottle has been open for just over a month. I bought it in very late December. But let's taste it and see what's going on. It's a big continuation from the actual smell. It's a very voluptuous taste. It's nice and silky. Covers all aspects of your tongue, and it really leads forward with these honey fruit notes. Like imagine, when you get kind of breakfast, and you can kind of coat fruit in honey and put it in granola and porridge and things like that. It really does have a lot of that going on. almost like white wine-like drinking ability. There's this like kind of savoury greenness, think like kind of dill, nettles. I know it's an unusual thing to say, but I remember eating nettle soup and it actually tastes a lot nicer than what you think it would. And then backed up by all that pineapple, mango, peach, almost grapefruit. There's like a bitterness towards the end of it. And then the warmth of the oak comes through. I have genuinely no idea how old I think this is. Probably averages maybe like 6-7 years old, as most good bourbons do. But that's delicious. It's so fresh and easy drinking. It's kind of amazing. I've not owned a bottle of it in the past. There's not a huge vanilla caramel trace, which is nice because I've said it in the past before, I really like bourbon, but every time you smell it, it's always caramel or vanilla is the leading note, and it really isn't with this one. The art in blending again coming through, showing that you can create blended whiskies from very different products and create something that is extremely unique. This bottle averages around £44 in the UK. It's their standard entry level release, I believe, at 46% with all those beautiful unadulterated features it has. But a wonderful sipper. Nothing. I've been making loads of cocktails recently at home just due to being bored at home and breaking out the old cocktail sets. I can't think of anything I'd put this with, maybe in like a highball because it's so fruity. But to sip this neat on an evening or 10 to 2 in the afternoon as it is right now, is quite delicious and very approachable. So if you've never tried High West American Praire Bourbon, I would highly recommend it. I would score that a solid 8. I think that's delicious. Good value for money, surprising, light, very clean. In fact, I'm almost tasting like a champagne-like note to it now. Bitter and fizzy, but quite cleansing. But yeah, that's a High West American Praire Bourbon. That is an 8 out of 10. Thank you all for watching. I hope you're enjoying the new setup, and this is the first of a 3-part series of our High West releases. So we look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope you all have a good day.